In my opinion, guys, the edge rusher position in the 2024 NFL Draft is a little bit underwhelming, which is a little bit weird when I see the Commanders go out and not make many big splashes at the position in NFL free agency. I thought they were going to be on Danielle Hunter quite a bit because, in my opinion, man, this edge rusher group is not as good as it has been in years past, but there are some intriguing prospects that I think the Commanders are going to have their eye on in the early rounds of the 2024 NFL Draft. And today, I'm going to be going over my top 10 rankings here of the top edge rushers in the 2024 NFL Draft and who fits best with the Washington Commanders heading into next year. So before we get into today's content, this is the first of many positional ranking videos. We're going to be going over all the positions of need for the Washington Commanders heading into the NFL Draft. We're also going to have in-depth scouting reports on all the top draft targets, the latest Commanders draft news, all the players they're bringing in for visits and who they're targeting and all these different things. Also, we have weekly Commanders mock drafts right here on the channel. And oh yeah, guys, it's all 100% free. So if you love the Commanders now have 6 picks in the first 3 rounds. All right, so that's a lot of really high-end draft capital. The Commanders are going to be making some major moves during the NFL Draft this year to make this team better. So if you want to learn about these prospects, you want to become an expert on the Washington Commanders and what they could be looking for, make sure you click that subscribe button right now. So let's start with what the Commanders' defensive line looks like right now. You can add F.A. Obata to the group here as well. He was signed earlier this week. Dorrance Armstrong and Clelin Ferrell are kind of slated in as your number 1 and number 2 edge rushers right now. Dante Fowler Jr. is more of a rotational third down type of edge rusher. KJ Henry, you're kind of hoping maybe he can ascend. But right now, this is a position where I think it is missing a key piece. And that key piece is a true number 1 edge rusher. Of course, you got Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne causing havoc there up the middle, but you need to improve this edge group because if they're planning on going into the season with Dorrance Armstrong and Clelin Ferrell to replace Montez Sweat and Chase Young from a season ago, I mean, this is a downgrade compared to what this team was just a season ago, and that's unacceptable to me. So I do think that this team needs a number 1 edge rusher plan, all right? You don't necessarily have to tell the rookie this year, if he's drafted in the 2nd or 3rd round, you have to be our number 1 guy, but it has to be somebody that has a future to potentially get to this spot, in my opinion. So because of that, and because the Commanders are probably taking quarterback at number 2 overall this year, that means you got to go get that guy probably in round 2, in my opinion, especially because, in my opinion, this edge rusher class is a little bit underwhelming. And because you're drafting a quarterback in round 1, there's going to be some guys, some of the top guys that aren't going to be there for you when your pick eventually gets to you at pick number 36 this year. Those guys will most likely be Latu, my number 1 edge rusher this year. He is unbelievable. He is by far, in my opinion, the best edge rusher in this class. I think he's underrated as an athlete. He is by far the most refined pass rusher in this group, and I think he's worth a top 5 pick. Dallas Turner at Alabama. Also another guy that's not going to be there. Super athletic freak, all these different things, and he's just not going to be there, all right? He's going to be a little bit more of a developmental guy, but, he's not the best run defender either, but I do think that he's an athletic freak. He tested out of the gym at the Combine. He's going to be going pretty early as well. Then Jared Verse as well. He's a bull in a china shop. He loves the power rush. He's got really good athleticism. Very high upside for Jared Verse as well. But Dallas Turner, the reason why he's number 2 and why Verse is number 3 on my list is because of pass defense. Dallas Turner actually pretty good going out into pass coverage. Jared Verse, not so much. So this is my edge rusher rankings here. Like I said, Latu is number 1. I have a top 5 grade on him, but realistically, because there's so much high-end talent in this draft, he's probably going to go more top 10, top 15 range, but I do think he'll be the first one off the board, or at least he should be. Number 2, like I said, is Dallas Turner. Easy round 1 grade. Kind of interesting to see where he's going to go because he is a little bit more of a developmental guy. But, man, he's got every single tool that you look for in a number 1 edge rusher, and somebody's going to take a chance on that round 1. Same thing with Jared Verse. A little bit more development is needed on his part. But, man, he plays really smooth. He's a really good athlete, and he's actually got more finesse than people think as well. Really good bull rush. He's going to be an easy round 1 guy as well. Now we get to the first guy that I think the Commanders could actually land in round 2. Because Chop Robinson, I do have a late round 1 grade on him. And it's definitely possible after his performance at the Combine that he goes in round 1. It's absolutely possible that he doesn't make it to the Commanders. But it is possible that he does make it there as well because he is terrible as a run blocker, all right? This guy does not know where to go. He's not good with hand placement. He's got a terrible anchor. That's going to be something that needs to be worked on at the NFL level to set the edge from a 3-4 outside linebacker perspective. Now, with that said, he is an unbelievable athlete. He has the best get-off in this draft out of anybody, and he has got incredible bend. He reminds me a lot of Brian Burns when he was coming out of Florida State. He's an incredible athlete with long arms. And, man, this guy is so fast coming off the edge. It just wasn't fair watching his tape going up against lower-level college tackles. But he needs to work on his finesse. He needs to work on his run defense. And because of that, he might fall a little bit, but he definitely has number 1 edge rusher potential with the way that his physical skill set and profile shakes out. So now predict it for me down there in the comment section. Will Chop Robinson go in round 1? I have a feeling that he will, but let me know if you think he's going to be available for the Commanders in the early 2nd round. Give me a yes or a no for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by giving me a yes or a no to answer today's pinned question. Now, number 5 on my list, maybe a little bit of a surprise, but I love Jonah Elliss out of Utah. All right, I think that he is probably the 2nd most refined pass rusher in this year's draft class. And before his shoulder injury really derailed his final season there with the Utes, I think there's an argument to be made he could have been ranked number 2 on this list. I think that he reminds me a little bit of T.J. Watt. He's like T.J. Watt light in the fact that he's got a lot of different pass rush moves. He's very intelligent with the way he deploys them. He reads and reacts to the tackles and what they're trying to do to him very well. He's a good run defender, and I think that his shoulder is going to heal. I mean, I think some people, some draft analysts out there are probably looking at just one game, probably towards the end of the season when he was dealing with that shoulder injury, when he literally couldn't use it, and they're basing their analysis based on that. But if you look at his play before the shoulder injury, he was awesome, all right? And I think he's going to be able to get back to that. I have an early 2nd round grade on him. He's one of those guys that if he's available like at pick 40 for the Commanders, I think he would be a potential number 1 option in the future, and he's definitely one of my guys and one of the higher value picks at the edge rusher position, in my opinion. Now, coming up here, number 6 through 10, some other potential fits for the Washington Commanders here at the edge rusher position in this year's NFL draft. But before I get into that, I want to talk about our friends at Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS or download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. Football season is over. I know, guys, I'm just as disappointed about it as you are, but the action on the floor is just heating up because it is March, and it is March Madness time, okay? So whether it's tournament season in the NCAA or the fight for NBA playoff home court, there's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of the year. Get in on the excitement with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you can turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. So how does it work, you ask? Well, here's how you play. You pick 2 to 6 players, and if they'll go for more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can even go up to 25 times your money on any entry, and it's super, super easy. This is how it works, guys. This is a projection I had earlier this week for the NBA. You simply choose more or less, and it's super easy, and if you know ball, you can seriously make some serious cash. And then the one on the bottom there, you might notice that there's no option for more or less. That's because that is a goblin in the Demons and Goblins promotion that Prize Picks is doing right now. A demon is a harder to get projection, but it's a higher payout, and a goblin is an easier to get projection with lower payouts. This is an example of a goblin. I'm taking the more on Devin Booker points. I mean, come on, Booker's going to score more than 19.5, right? So go ahead right now, download the Prize Picks app, and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today to get started with Prize Picks. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your picks. To get started right now. Again, download the Prize Picks app today or go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. Pick more or pick less. It's that easy with our friends at Prize Picks. Now, this one is definitely more of a surprise, all right, because Pro Football Focus right now ranks this guy as a 5th-round value, okay? But number 6 on my list is Xavier Thomas out of Clemson, because this guy is a tactician. Now, he doesn't necessarily have the ideal measurables that you're looking for. But when I look at this guy's film, his hand usage is beautiful. He's very intelligent. He is a good run defender as well. He's got a good anchor. All right, he does a lot of things exceptionally well. Now, is he ever going to be a number one guy? I'm not too sure, because you really do need to have those measurables to really be considered like an elite guy in the league. But Xavier Thomas, I think, is going to be an immediate number 2 edge rusher, and he's going to be really good in this league for a very long time. And Pro Football Focus ranks him as 151st, a 5th-round value. So if you can get Xavier Thomas in like the 4th or 5th round if you're the Commanders here, I think that would be an absolute steal. And whoever gets him in this draft, it's going to be an absolute steal, because I currently have a late 2nd round, maybe early 3rd round grade on Xavier Thomas. His hand usage is beautiful. He was dominating at the Shrine Bowl here in Frisco, Texas a couple weeks ago. I love Xavier Thomas. He's one of my guys, and I'd love to see him in a Commander's uniform just a year after they took KJ Henry in the middle rounds last year. Another Clemson Tiger edge rusher. Now, number 7 on my list is Bralen Trice. Now, Bralen is definitely one of the more productive edge rushers in college football, or at least he has been. Very intelligent rusher, like Xavier Thomas and Latu are, but the run defense leaves something to be desired. That's why Xavier Thomas gets the slight edge over Bralen. But as a day one rotational edge rusher, I think Bralen Trice, it's hard to get better than that, man, because he's got long arms. He uses them extremely well, extremely intelligent. And I really like what he does as an edge rusher. He plays with physicality. He plays with speed. I like what he does as a pass rusher, and I have a late round 2 grade on him as well. Then Chris Braswell is number 8 on my list, and he's got a very similar profile to Bralen Trice. He needs to work on the run defense. He has to work on the anchor and all this, and the diagnostics of knowing where his gap is and all that stuff. But Chris Braswell, guys, what worries me about his run defense and his development into the league is that he was at Alabama. Like Will Anderson, like all these different guys that come out of there at this position are usually great run defenders, and Chris Braswell is not. All right, so he's gotten excellent coaching, and it's still not there, which worries me a bit, but he does have a very nice, very solid pass rushing profile, and I do think he is worth a late round 2 pick or an early 3rd round pick, in my opinion. Then number 9, I got Mohamed Kamara. He reminds me a lot of Shaq Barrett. Okay, so this guy I think is more of a value pick. He still has some work to do in terms of how he uses his hands and the finesse, and he needs to work on his pass rushing moves. But he's got a really nice athletic profile, and I think that he's done a really good job throughout the entire process. He did well at the Combine. He did a really good job at the Shrine Bowl this year, and I'm very excited about Mohamed Kamara as a potential value pick on probably late day 2 there in round 3. I think that'd be a great value for the Commanders as well. And then this one might be a little bit low to some people. I mean, I've heard Darius Robinson getting 1st round hype because he's massive and he's super strong. And he is easily the best run defending edge rusher in the class this year. It's not even close. With the amount of anchor and strength and size that he brings to the table, you're not moving him anywhere from the edge rusher position. He reminds me a little bit of Leonard Williams, but the thing with him, guys, is that as a pass rusher, he needs to develop the finesse. He only has one move right now. It's a push and pull move, and it works against college guys for sure. It was working at the Senior Bowl as well, but against top flight NFL offensive tackles, you're going to have more than just that one move. And Darius Robinson right now, he doesn't actually play with much power in the pass rushing game, despite the fact that he's massive. He could certainly have a better pull rush. So there's still things that he needs to be working on. Now, I do think he's worth a round 3 pick, maybe even a late day 2 or late round 2 pick. And he'd be actually a pretty decent fit here with the Commanders, but I am a little bit lower on Darius Robinson than some of the other people out there in the NFL draft space. Now, here's some honorable mentions here. I like Marshawn Nealon's game as a mid-round pick. He's kind of reminds me of Derek Barnett, kind of a bigger guy, but he's definitely limited in terms of his upside. Adisa Isaac might be a surprise here as a late round 3, early round 4 guy, because I think he's a pretty darn good run defender. I think he's probably an early down edge rusher from day 1. But I really don't think he gives the pass rushing upside that you're looking for. Pro Football Focus has him ranked as like a round 2 pick. I don't see that with Isaac personally. Austin Booker from Kansas is intriguing. He's got a lot of moves, but he's not really intelligent with how he deploys them. He has to read offensive tackles better to know which moves to go to. And if he can do that, he can actually develop into a pretty nice edge rusher this year. And then Justin Ebiojo, I can't say the name, dude. I'm sorry. I've tried. I can't do it. He's a round 4 guy, decent athlete. But at Alabama, man, with the coaching that he got, he should be a lot better than he is, in my opinion. So which edge rusher do you want the Commanders to draft this season? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. For me personally, I would love Jonah Elliss. I would love Xavier Thomas at a value. I would even like Bralen Trice in probably maybe round 2 or maybe early round 3, right? I would love any of those guys. Those guys are great fits. And I would love to see any one of those guys play for the Burgundy and Gold next year. So that'll be it for today's show, guys. This is just the first of a bunch of positional ranking videos that we're going to be doing on the channel. So if you want in-depth, extensive Commanders draft content all throughout the 2024 offseason, make sure you guys click that subscribe button right now. And until next time, hail to the Commanders.